So this is called The Bone Ships, The Tide Child Trilogy, Book One.
Say that again?
The Bone Ships, the
Okay.
tide, as in the tide
Yeah, the
going in
water.
and out. Child, as in a small child. Trilogy,
Okay, say it
as
again.
in 3 books. Book, as in a thing that sits with pages in the
Like a
middle that you flip
biblioteca.
back
I
and
don't
forth.
read books.
And 1, which is the numerical number 1, the Arabic numerical number 1.
Okay, I'm actually excited how this book series goes for you because I might jump to that one after this one.
So this one, at first, is actually a hard entry.
How long is first? Because you're only 100 pages in. Is it still slow at 100 pages?
It took me like 20 pages before I started getting with it.
Okay, and
And the reason being is because there's a lot of like lingo and terminology and stuff, and
more naval
because
lingo? Or
yeah, I mean it's like it's a fantasy series. Um,
because it actually sounds interesting. I like a
But
lot of the Navy type books.
it is, you know, it's about it's about being a seaman, except they're unique in this island chain in that they build their ships out of the bones of like sea serpents.
Instead of drying in 5 minutes.
What?
The beginning of your statement was semen.
I was gonna say he said semen.
Oh,
You're a semen.
I'm over here thinking about the book, and
I
you're
am
making
actually
jokes.
intrigued. So they're making out like sea serpents, like the
So
giant snakes, the nagas.
Yeah, they're like dragons of the ocean, right? And so the bones are extra hard.
Does it lean on a certain type culture or touches
Yes.
all of them?
Yeah, it really leans into like a unique islander culture. Seems
Like
to be very matriarchal.
Pacific or more like Indonesian? Or are we talking more Caribbean or Peruvian? Like, oh, okay, you don't know.
Islands.
Island. They're islanders.
Somewhere. It's a fantasy world, man. It's completely built from the ground up. So where I was going from is it's hard entry because they're using a lot of terminology.
That isn't what you use or understand.
Well, and it's not just it's unique to the world terminology,
Okay.
right? And so you're having
Okay.
to do
I'm on the same page
association,
now.
and you have to like build a lot of context clues
You got to
along the
build
way.
your vocabulary with the beginning
Yeah,
part.
and so because there's no like soft entry into this,
I would be okay with that.
they drop you hard in.
Okay.
And I looked at some of the reviews, and one of the reviews, because I was making sure I actually wanted to read this book, but
It's a rough start.
Yeah, one of the reviews was that it's rough entry because of that, right? But it's very. Have you read oh fuck, has Ahab Hunting a
Moby
White
Dick.
Whale? Yeah, Moby Dick.
I like Moby Dick.
It feels very Moby Dick.
Well, that one was a very hard beginning read because they were talking about aft stern, setting up the pitches, setting up the yaws.
So it starts out with there's this drunkard captain who's been.
What are you laughing about? Say it. Snickering over there.
There's semen in Moby Dick.
Actually, they weren't. They were called something else.
Yeah, they were sailors.
But they're still semen.
No,
you're a seaman.
You're a seaman. So it's
but
similar
it
to
starts
Moby
out,
Dick.
It starts out with a drunken captain and another woman who wants to take over for captain challenges him to a duel.
Okay, and you probably do,
and beats him, and he thinks she's going to kill him, and she doesn't. And she goes, "No, you're my second now." And
you're my first mate.
Yeah, it's all. Well, they call it something else, right?
Okay. Equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah. And
second in command.
But it's still all from his perspective, right? So that's where.
So she's talking to him, and he's receiving this. Yeah. Probably laying on the ground somewhere.
And it's all his feelings and all his reactions to it, but the way that it was all from his perspective and how she's such a badass
grabbed you.
Very much reminded me of Moby Dick.
Okay. I might jump to this book series after I purge through this on top of studying for